Hi, and welcome back to Keep Smiling with Larry Rifkin. I'm Larry Rifkin. How are you? Today we're going to talk about inhibitors to happiness. What holds us back from achieving the happiness that we want to live? I think in my experience, the true definition of spirituality is living in the moment, being connected to the divine within us in the moment, and knowing that the universe, God, the angels, whatever higher power it is that we look to, truly wants us to be happy. We get caught up all the time in our daily routines and dealing with just life in general. And sometimes we seem to lose focus and seem to forget that the object of life is to enjoy, is to be happy, is to see the beauty and the goodness and all the blessings and miracles that are around us. They say, I have a friend who says to me all the time, I like to live each day like it's my last. And I look at them and I say, you know what, that's great. But for me personally, I prefer to live each day like it's my first. I live in constant amazement of the universe, of my surroundings, of the environment. And I try to keep myself in a happy place. And I do that by making sure that I keep my thoughts on a positive level, that I've set an intention that I know. When a negative thought crawls into my mind and I recognize it, I address it, and I let it go. And I think one of the biggest inhibitors that we have to finding our happiness and staying in our happiness is we connect to negativity and we hold on to it because it's comfortable, because it's familiar, because we know it, and we don't let go. So, one of the things that I want to discuss today is letting go. And when I say letting go, I'm talking about letting go on several levels. There are the daily tasks and situations that come up. And I'll share with you my own experiences. As you know, I have three teenage children, three teenage boys. And I have my middle son, who is 14 going on 15, is going through some challenging times. And we had a little bit of a confrontation this weekend. And he said some things to me that were extremely hurtful, including he wishes that I weren't his father. I will tell you that it did hurt me. And I realized rather than getting into a confrontation with him and rather than taking it out on my other boys or anybody else that was around at that moment, I decided to leave. And I got into my car and I realized that my vibrational frequency was very, very, very low. And that everything was bothering me. And I realized that I was stuck in my mind on things that my son had said to me that hurt me. Now, I know my son loves me. And I know that he doesn't mean that he wishes harm on me or that he wishes that I weren't his father. It was just things that he's going through. 14-year-old teenagers, all of us have these times of trials and tribulations where we don't necessarily handle things the way that we should or the way that we could. I know one of the things that I always try to do is never react immediately. I try to stop, think about the situation, think about the next thing that I'm going to say or do before I do it. But I also recognize that that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice. And I've been working on this for many years, and I still follow that path most of the time. Once in a while, I don't. I recognize that my son, at 14 years old, is going through all types of changes in his body, in his world, in his life, in his educational process, in everything. And I realize that his anger wasn't at me, because it wasn't with me that it started, it was with one of his brothers. It was me who got taken out on. And as I rode, and as I realized that I was upset and allowing my vibrational frequency to go down, I realized that that's what I was focusing on. And I set an intention to myself to recognize what it was said for, why it was said, and the intention behind it, and realize that he didn't mean the mean words that came out to him. But I was tethered to those words, and they were like a cord wrapped around me and holding me down and holding me in a place. And the anger within me, and the not necessarily anger, but the disappointment within me was bubbling up. And when I sat back and I stilled my mind, and I spoke to the universe, and I spoke to God, and I spoke to my angels, I received a message. And the message was, Larry, he's growing, he's in a bad place. This wasn't about you. Ready? Here it comes. Let it go. Let it go. What does that mean? Let it go. It means to recognize the situation for what it is. Not to take it personally. Again, one of the 4 agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take it personally. And don't allow it to wrap a lasso around my heart and around my soul and to keep me down. And once I realized this, and I allowed, and I opened up my aura and my being, and I allowed the messages to come to me. And the message came to me very clearly, saying, let it go. So I sat back. I did what I do when I'm trying to relax myself, put myself in a state of relaxation, picture my happy place in my mind, and do my deep breathing. And I let it go. And I realized that my son was speaking out of emotion and he was reacting. And when I let that go, all of a sudden, a weight was lifted off my shoulders. My breathing was easier. My outlook on life, literally in that moment, became clearer. Now we have these challenges, and challenges like this, daily challenges that happen to us all the time, challenges that we take personally, challenges that we take into our heart, maybe because we assumed. And when we can learn to sit back, look at the situation, and not react, but think about it, still our mind, and see where it's coming from, and make a mental note and let it go, all of a sudden this freedom comes. This room, this freedom to be able to breathe and be able to thrive again is there for us. And we're not tethered to these negative thoughts, these negative emotions, these negative words anymore. And we let it go and we recognize it for what it is. And realize that A, don't take it personally. B, don't assume that he means this or that he means to hurt me or whatever the situation is. And know where it's coming from and why, and that it's not personal, and that we don't assume, and you let it go. And you breathe it out. And I do this during my deep breathing exercises, which we've gone through in the past. When I breathe deeply all the way into my soul, and as I blow that air out, and during this time I'm picturing my happy place in my mind, and when I blow it out, I blow all of the negative emotion out with me. I blow all of the lower vibrational frequency out with me. I blow all of the words that were tethering me to a negative place out of my body. And this opens up an area. This opens up room for me to be able to breathe, to be able to raise my vibrational frequency, and to be able to think positive thoughts again. So when we talk about letting it go, and there are a couple of areas that we let them go, but one of the most important ones is everyday trials and tribulations, things that are said in passing during routine situations during the day. Don't take those personally. Don't assume, and we let those go, and that allows us to move forward with our life and back into a happy place, which is where I like to live. And this makes us feel much better. Now, these are a bit easier to do and a bit less challenging than some of the larger things we need to let go in our life. And what I'm talking about now is I'm not talking about the daily words or the daily interactions, somebody saying something. I'm talking about something larger in our life. Whether it's a relationship that we're moving on from, or a position that we had that no longer exists, or anything like that. The first thing that we want to do, and we hold on to that, and the relationship. But let's use, for example, going through a divorce. This is somebody that you've had intimate, wonderful relations, hopefully wonderful relationship with for a period of time, whether that period of time was, months or years or decades. And they're ingrained into our soul. And now, at some point, through a growth process, we have grown into different areas and we've gone different ways. And this can be painful at times. And depending on how we hold it and how we deal with it and how we see it, depends on how that experience plays into our life. Many times, it's very easy to get caught up in the negative. Oh, that job that let me go, I can't believe they let me go. I was perfect for them. This was the perfect situation. It might have been the perfect situation for that time. But the universe knows what's best for us. The universe knows that we're growing now. And that situation wasn't the best situation for you or for your greater good. When we deal with a relationship, somebody that we've had a relationship with for a long time, and now we're going in our separate directions, we seem to be tethered again to the negative emotions, the bad words that were said towards the end, the cold emotions that were felt during the end. Well, this is a little bit harder to let go than the daily interactions. But we need to look at these too. And we need to recognize the negative thoughts and also recognize where they're coming from and what started them and what brought them on. And what I like to do, and I happen to be, I think maybe possibly a little bit unique, because as we've discussed in the past, I'm recently divorced after a long marriage of 29 years. And my relationship with my ex is a very good one. She's one of my closest and dearest friends. And we both realize that we have three wonderful souls that we brought into this world. And both of our focus is on what's best for the three boys. But when we have these situations, these long-term situations, what I like to do is, instead of focusing on the negative, on what happened at the end, on the change of paths, and on the separation of paths, I like to keep in my mind all of the beautiful memories that I've had over these past 29 years. And I'm going to tell you, I am blessed. I really am, and I know that my life is blessed, and I am very grateful. But I've had many, many, many good situations and good moments over the past 29 years. And I choose to focus on those And the feeling that those gave to me, which again raised my vibrational frequency, which put me in a better place. And then what I do is when the negative words come in and the negative emotions come in, I recognize them for what they are and once again let them go. This concept of letting go means letting go from all the negativity of our past, letting go from people that bring us down, and surrounding ourselves with people that empower us. Letting go of anything that doesn't bring us happiness, beauty, or joy into our life, into our being, and into our universe. Yeah, it sounds easy, and yeah, it's a great concept. And does it always work that easy? Is it always that easy? It is not easy. I will tell you that anything worth gaining in life takes effort. None of this comes easy. If it were easy, we wouldn't appreciate the results as much. When it takes effort, and we can get past those humps, and this isn't something like a light switch that we can turn on and off. This is a process. This is a discipline. This is a learning step. And it's not something that we get to and go, okay, great, we're there now, I can let everything go. No. This is something that we use every day, every week, every month of our life. There's always going to be something that happens. The guy that cut you off on the way to work today, and you got angry. You know what? You don't know what's going on in his world. He might have just gotten a call that his pregnant wife is ready to deliver and is being rushed to the hospital. He might have gotten a call that his child is sick, or that their child is sick. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Remember, you're going to get where you're supposed to be at the perfect time, in divine timing. And if that person slowed you down by a minute, or a second, or 10 minutes, that's because it was supposed to. So, letting the anger go from that, and actually having gratitude, thanking them, because you know what? Maybe, possibly, if they didn't slow you down and you were a minute ahead, something could have happened that might not have been good or for your greatest good. But because they slowed you down for a minute, which is nothing, it's a flash, but now you're not in line for something bad that might have happened if you weren't slowed down. We need to learn to let things go because things bother us. And then we tend to keep them inside and we do what people call stewing on those, where they just boil and they perk and they bubble and they percolate. And then they come out at the wrong time. That's not good. It keeps you in a place of negativity. It doesn't allow you to enjoy the moment and live in the moment, because what it's doing now is it's tying you to something in the past. We need to let that go. We need to let go of the past. If we can learn to let go on a daily basis of all the regular trials and tribulations that come into our life just in regular situations, and learn to let go of the bigger challenges in our life and let them go, it gives us room to allow more good, more positive, more happiness, and more beauty into our life. And after all, isn't that the object of life? It is for me. Thank you very much. I hope you got something out of this. I look forward to seeing you next week, and until then, keep smiling.